Hi guys, hi friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to DSP tune these drivers, these speakers. I made a separate video where I show how I built these open baffle desktop speakers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tune them. This video is not going to be just about these speakers or this amplifier or room EQ. It's going to be how to tune speakers in general. Once you watch this, you'll understand what I do as the fastest way to get to the point where you cross speakers over. I'll show you how to find out using your ears, how to find out by how much you need to turn down the tweeters, the higher frequencies, how much to turn them down by just by using your ears. I'm going to show you how to use a near field measurement and a moving microphone measurement to tie everything together. And then I'm going to snipe a certain frequencies using a DSP. And we're going to tie it all together using a final measurement, and you will see what the frequency response is of these speakers. I will also follow up with a listening session in a separate video. But first, let me just say, why would you use a DSP versus building traditional passive crossover? Well, passive crossovers take a lot of effort and a lot of expertise to get right. I know people that have been doing this their whole life, and they're still working on their crossovers, their passive crossovers, for decades. I mean, it's ridiculous how long people are still swapping capacitors and all this stuff. It's a whole to-do. Okay, you can go that route, that's fine. I mean, people still ride horses. It's fine, I love horses. However, if you want a Ferrari, you want something precision grade, you want to start with a DSP. This is not just my opinion. Even the people that build the speakers, some of the best speakers in the world, in my opinion, it's like Focals or Legacy speaker. Well, Legacy is a little different. I don't know how he builds them, but those are amazing. Some of the top-end Harman speakers, they're all using DSPs to get to those crossovers, to get to like what sounds amazing. They measure things, and then they create the passive crossover, because people at home don't have DSP amps. They just have an amplifier, and all the crossover has to be inside the speaker. But when you use passive crossovers, you're basically dissipating heat for no reason. You're putting things into the signal path, which is not ideal. So DSP has massive advantages. This DSP amplifier that we built, it takes a digital signal in, keeps everything digital throughout the DSP. Then it gives us channels out using I2S 24-bit 192 kilohertz, gives us super high definition signals out, and then we're amplifying after the DSP every single one of these drivers. So I mean, I can show you, like right now, I turned it up all the way. Like this is 100%. You can put here, I'll put the microphone. I'm in this. Do you hear anything? Nothing. There's nothing there. You can't do that. Let me put that. You can't really do that when you have passive crossovers and conventional amplifiers. You can, but you'll pay a lot of money. Using this methodology, you're getting the top of the line, basically the cleanest crossover you can possibly get, the highest precision, and the best part, it's super easy to do, and I'll show you in this video. It's super easy to get started. And then you can have presets where you can find your perfect tuning, and of course tone control. There's let me turn it down. There's tone control that you can do in the DSP before it comes out also, and you can get, depending on the song you're listening to, the perfect sound. But I digress. I am a big, I love DSP. I'm a big proponent of people getting to know how to use digital signal processors. There's a bunch of cheap DSPs out there, and I don't want you to think that all DSPs are made the same. They are not. There's some really good ones made by Analog Devices. There's some other companies that do a good job. However, let me show you what this DSP can do for these speakers. There's no passive drivers or passive, I'm sorry, there's no passive crossovers here. However, from what I've learned here, I will probably create a passive crossover for these speakers, and then I'll A/B them just to see what's better. Let me get started. Let me show you what I can do with this DSP and these speakers. Let's get to it. The first thing we're going to want to do is open Room EQ, okay? And Room EQ Wizard, REW, let's bring it up here. Let's bring up Room EQ Wizard. The very first thing we're going to do is connect the measurement microphone. I'm sure there's a ton of information on these, but this is a UMIC 1, and it's got a it's got a sound card built right into it, so it's just USB connected straight to it. That's all you need is just this microphone, and it comes with a calibration file that you can get from the manufacturer. You go to the manufacturer Mini DSP's website, and you put in this this code, the 700 number that's on the bottom, and it gives you a calibration file. There's two types of calibration files. One is for horizontal, and one's for vertical, and one's for horizontal measurements. In this video, I'm going to be using vertical measurements. However, I'm sorry, I'll be using horizontal measurements, but there's some merit to doing the moving microphone method and or this way. This is when you're doing more acoustics and you want to know what the room is doing. For this, we're going to be doing a horizontal measurement and moving the microphone, as you will see. So first, plug it in, and when you plug it in, it's going to recognize you and say, hey, I've detected a microphone. Say, yes, please. It's detected a microphone. So what is the very first thing we're going to do? By the way, we are using my digital amplifier. This right here is a AC650 DSP amplifier. It has 6 channels that are powered already. So what this amplifier does, it takes in a digital signal, whatever music source you have, whether it's USB, audio, whether it's optical, coaxial, it takes digital source, it brings it into a very high quality DSP. From there, it goes individually to get amplified to each one of these. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, channel 6, as you will see, and I'm able to control each one of these. That keeps the signal to noise ratio like incredible, because we're keeping a digital all the way up until amplification. But you know, for you, if you don't have this amplifier, it's totally fine. Chances are you don't have this amplifier because we just built it. It might be available by the time you're watching it. But if you have a DSP with a separate amplifier, you could do everything I'm doing just using your DSP software and your amplifiers to do that. As long as you can cross these over using Linkwitz and Riley or Butterworth, cross these over, and you can EQ each individual driver. As long as your DSP software allows you to EQ each one of these. I'm not talking about EQing left channel and right channel. I'm talking about EQing channel 1, EQ channel 2, channel 3, each individual driver. Okay, with that out of the way, the first thing that we want to do is let's bring up the DSP software so we know where it is. Let's get into it. The first thing, if you need to do it on yours, is reset controls. We're going to go ahead and reset controls. That means everything is set to 0. The next thing is we're going to go ahead and set channel 1, 2, and 3 to left. So that's my channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. Then I'm going to say 4, 5, 6 is going to be my right channels. Very good, very good. Okay, and just a few words on the philosophy. The philosophy is that the tweeter, I always start with the tweeter as far as my measurements, and we'll get to the measurements in just a second. But the philosophy is that the tweeter, I want the tweeter to have the most bandwidth possible. The reason for that is much faster. The tweeter is much faster. We localize high frequency much better than we do lower frequencies, as in people. And the tweeter itself, if you have a big bandwidth coming out from a single source, that's where you get the sound stage. The sound stage just gets drawn so much better if you have a very good tweeter. The sound stage is born from there. Now, the subwoofers, they give you that volume, that body. You know, like for instance, when you're drinking coffee, and if you like coffee, when you drink coffee and you get that full body, that's the subwoofers. But you have notes of cocoa, notes of hazel, notes of winter gardens or cherries or citrus. That's the tweeter. The sound stage is the tweeter. These guys, the subwoofers and the lower frequencies, that's your body. So let's just keeping that in mind. And that's not only for these speakers, that's for any speaker. Start with the tweeters. But usually the tweeters are much louder. They have higher sensitivity. Especially psychoacoustically speaking, our hearing is very tuned into 2000 hertz all the way to 2 to 5K is like painful. If it's too much, it's painful. A lot of mixes, when you go to live shows, they will literally turn down 2 to 5K almost completely. They get rid of like 160 hertz. It's kind of wild what they do for live music. But for these speakers, we want to have pretty flat response, so that way whatever is recorded, we can represent it and then use tone control to make it sound good for us. Okay, getting a little sidetracked. So the number one thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to turn on, we're going to set the levels. Let's set the levels first. So the first thing is we're going to do is let's go ahead and turn everything off except for channel 1 and channel 4 here. Okay, so let's turn these off. Let's turn on channel 4 as well. Yeah. Actually, let's turn on channel. So all of my subwoofers, I'm going to turn them on. Then in room EQ, I'm going to go ahead and bring up SPL meter. You get SPL meter, level meter. Let's get the level meter. Come on, level meter, and a generator. And we'll get them all up here. Okay, let me move this out of the way for a minute. Okay, let's set these up. So here's a signal generator. Here's the levels. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is basically just set the level so that my amp, it's not too loud and we're within kind of like a region where we can measure and it's good. So you can do it with pink noise or white noise. I guess let's do it with white noise for this. And just make sure you actually have the calibration file put in and everything like that. And make sure that your invert second output is not on. That's a big one, because especially for these speakers. The next thing what we're going to do is do white noise. And let's go ahead and bring it to about 76 decibels. Okay, we're about 76 decibels. Now you're probably wondering, how do I know how much to turn the tweeters down by? So let's turn them on. And I'm going to go ahead and turn them way down at first, because these tweeters are way more sensitive than anything else. For this, I'm going to suggest use your ears, okay? And what I'll probably do... I'm going to have to deal with that in a minute. What I'm going to do, I'm going to record audio on this one. What I want you to do is listen at which point you can start hearing the tweeter. So basically, I'm going to play white noise. You'll hear the subwoofers. And as I turn it up, you will hear the shh coming from the tweeter. That's when it starts to line up. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear it using this microphone instead of the one that I'm wearing. Okay, let's go ahead and play it. By the way, the tweeters are turned on right now. I have channel 2 and 5 turned on. Okay, just to summarize what I did there. I basically brought in the tweeter from quiet to something where I can hear it and it makes sense to me, like it matches the level in my ears. It's actually pretty easy to do. I haven't crossed anything over yet, but I brought it up so I can hear everything. Then I went back to the overall level and I brought it to about 76. That's just a good way to start. So I have gain of minus 21, okay? That's kind of like, I'm turning these down by about 20 dB. I'm going to make it 20 dB just so that it's easier to remember. So yeah, okay, so we've got our level set. Let's just one more time quickly play it and see if we're at 76. Okay, another very interesting thing is that I would just, let's see the same thing, but with pink noise. Yeah, let's go with pink noise because pink noise is closer to what our ears hear. So let's set everything, let's do the same exact thing, but using pink noise instead of white noise. So we're gonna go with full range pink noise and get it to about 76. Okay, very good. I thought it was a bit quieter for some reason. Yeah, pink noise is the way to go. Don't use white noise. You can, but pink noise is, I think it's closer to what our ears actually hear. Okay, now we've turned these down enough. We can go ahead and start the measurement. The first thing that we're gonna do, we can close these for now. We'll keep the signal generator going, give you an idea that we'll use it in the future. Let's go ahead and do the first measurement. The first measurement is gonna be channel 1 raw. It's already in there actually. I always start with channel 1 raw. So even though this is gonna be our primary channel we're gonna start with, actually let's do that. Let's do channel 2. Let's do exactly like I do, so I don't always start with the tweeter, or as I say, let the tweeter ride. Let the tweeter ride. And the reason for that, as I explained, is we want that crazy soundstage. So I want to extend this thing as far as it will, as low as it will go. I want it to be a low rider, to go as low as possible. And let's do that. So very important here, just you can copy my settings here. So I've got 1M here. That's understandable, 48. Okay, everything looks good here. So the biggest thing that we need to do is make sure we turn everything off. All the channels are off, okay, except for channel 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and just turn channel 2 on. Okay, this is channel 2, this is the tweeter. I'm going to be slightly off axis right here. It doesn't really matter, but I like to do it a little bit off axis. I find it to be a little better. But anyways, let's go ahead and measure. This is near field measurement, and I'll be very close, so we're getting like more of an ideal response. So let's go ahead and measure it. Okay, very good. So this is the graph of the tweeters, okay? And this is great. This is a perfect example. So as you could see, it's rising up, okay? And then it covers this entire range almost linearly. So from about 1K all the way to 10K, it covers it just perfectly. Then it slopes down quite significantly. So in speakers that are much further away from you, where we don't have to turn this down by 20 dB, where we're barely turning it down, you're not going to be able to bring this area up higher. However, because we're so close and we turn this thing down so significantly, I will be able to bring it up with the DSP without causing distortion, or maybe a little distortion, but you won't be able to tell. Basically, we will be able to bring this up a little bit, and it will be very nice. But one thing to take from this is that from here to there, this slope right here is actually very nice. So this tells me ideally I can go down to 1 kilohertz. Okay, wonderful. Can this driver take me to 1 kilohertz? Well, let's find out. So let's go ahead. I love doing this stuff. It's like, it's exhilarating. All right, let's do channel 1. Channel 1. Okay. Okay, channel 1. And by the way, this software is the best. I love, there's so much you could do with it, and I'll tell you all about it. So anyways, channel 1. Let's go ahead and measure. Let's measure this one. You could be like dead center or very close to the center. Let's go ahead and measure this one. Cool beans. Let's take a look at this graph. Okay, as you could see, I mean, look how low this driver goes. Look at this. This is insane. Look how low that goes. Okay, and obviously this is, I'm measuring it very close, so as soon as I start backing up, the low end will drop off significantly the further I get. But the beauty of this thing is I'm not very far. My whole sound stage is like right here. So it will drop down, but we'll be able to pick it up with tone control and DSPing and stuff a little bit. Even as is, it's great. But the biggest thing to get out of this is that this speaker easily goes to 1 kilohertz. It actually, realistically, we can go to 1.4 kilohertz, but 1 kilohertz, that's great. That's great. So at this point, we can go ahead and set that crossover. Let's go ahead and set 1 kilohertz. Okay, so right now, what am I doing? I've selected channel 1, 3, 4, and 6, and I need to pass the lows, low pass filter, I need to pass the lows. Everything below 1000 hertz are gonna go here. So I'm gonna low pass. I'm gonna use Linkwitz and Riley, 12 dB per octave. I usually always start there, and then I play around with it later. So boom. We just set a low pass filter there. It's that easy. I absolutely love it. Now let's go ahead and do a high pass filter. High pass filter at 1, 2, 3. Okay, just got to double check. It's 3 zeros. Perfect. Okay, let's turn these on actually. So as of right now, and if we select all of them and go down to here, oh, actually, let's not do that. Let's do this. We should be able to see 1000, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay? Everything is set up. The next thing, usually people, what they do is they set the microphone here and they do a measurement. We'll wait for that in a second. I have a much faster way to get the results. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a moving microphone method. I'm going to wave it in the area that my head is in, because what's important to me is not what the speaker sounds like outside or an anechoic chamber. I mean, that is important and that's good to know, but that's not what I'm shooting for. What I'm shooting for is a sound stage right here, a dome of sound, a concert hall area right here, okay? So let's measure here. This is where we're gonna measure. So let's go ahead and get moving microphone set up. So here we already have pink noise, random, that's right, that's set up. Now let's do real-time analyzer. Let's bring a real-time analyzer right here. And let's actually quickly name these. Yeah, these are already named. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'll be waving this thing in the infinity pattern right here, a little bit left to right. And we're gonna get a live real-time analyzer to tell us what's going on. So without further ado, let's get to the do. I'm going to play it. First, I'm going to play it. Actually, a little bit of ado. You might want to copy these settings. Let me make sure. Just copy these from the screen. Hanning 24. We want averaging forever. That's right. So it's just basically, it's going to average. As long as I have this thing on, it's going to just keep averaging it. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead. Let's press go. Okay, and there's our graph. What I'm going to do is press this current button right here, and then I get a frequency response measurement right then and there. This is my frequency response measurement, which at this point, yeah, which here is already not too bad. If I do a little bit of smoothing, so I use 1/24 to smooth it out a little bit, but I also use, not a lot of people use this, I use psychoacoustic smoothing. This gives me a more, a view of how people actually hear things. So in here, I can tell that there's a bit of a peak that I can work on later around 423. Okay, and this is room acoustic stuff because we didn't have this here. Oh, maybe we had something little, very little, but it's definitely exaggerated quite substantially here. So let's go back to 1/24. Yeah, it's a bit more exaggerated. But overall, what I'd like to see from this curve, and I like the house curve, like a Harman house curve, where you have bass up high and then everything is coming down with just a slight ski slope, like, what do you call, not the diamond slope, but the bunny slope, just kind of like a very gradual slope. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the bass a little bit, and that's super easy to do with the DSP. First of all, I don't want to overdo it. I never like to boost too much, but here I can because these are very powerful speakers and we're very close. We have a lot, there's a lot more room before any kind of distortion. Plus, distortion in lower frequencies is basically, you won't even, like, it's such a minor thing. It's not even the thing. So let's go ahead and bring up, I'm going to bring up 40 by about 3 decibels, maybe 4 decibels, 63. And yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. Let's just, yeah, let's do it by 4. Okay. And we can do this live. So let's just get into it. Just watch what I'm doing and you'll see. All right, let's take a look. Let's show these off real quick. So you could see that the orange line over here, we basically picked it up. We picked it up. Let's do a little bit of smoothing. We basically picked it up a little bit. So we've got that slope is starting to go up and down like this. And we'll go ahead and address this in just a minute. The next thing that I'd like to do, I mean, we picked it up quite substantially. I mean, if you look here from 55 to 62, that's almost double the volume, okay? And at this point, what I'd like to do is I'm going to go in my DSP and I'm going to go ahead and set a preset A to this setting, okay? And then later in the listening session, or at any time, I can A/B by listening to music and A/B the settings. Actually, what I should have done is, let's put these back to 0. Okay, put that into A, save, and go back to here, and then do 4, 4. Okay, and then put that into B. Okay, cool. So A is going to be just crossed over at 1 kilohertz. B is going to be with bass boosted, B for bass, and C is going to be for treble, for the higher frequencies. So here I'm going to bring up just this high end a little bit, and the way that I'm going to do that is going to be, I'm going to select channel 2 and 5. Come on. All right, and I'm going to go all the way to this side. And I'm going to change this one to, let's do 20K. And the reason I'm picking up so high is because my Q is 0.4, so it's a pretty wide Q. So I'm going to grab it over there, and it's going to raise everything above 20K, which we don't hear. Most people don't hear anything above 16 anyway, maybe 17, but rarely. And I'm going to bring it up gently. Let's go ahead and bring it up 6 dB. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go crazy with it. Let's pick it up, like, and then turn it down as needed. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's take a look at it. So the bottom end looks almost identical, except the green line, that's the new one, has lifted quite substantially. okay? That's lifted quite substantially. Let me show you the green line. Let me do overlays so you can actually see a little bit better. Let me turn off 1 and 2. Okay, so you should see, so this is the green one right here that I just measured, the green one. You could clearly see that the treble is much higher, okay? It's a bit too high for my liking, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down to 6, okay? Quickly run that. Okie dokie, let's go ahead, bring that in. This is the blue line. You know, it brought it down just a smidge, okay? It brought it down a smidge. Let's overlays, okay? So I could probably bring it down even more. Let's go ahead and bring it down to 3 dB, okay? Just a little bit. Okay, let's throw that in. Where are we at? Where are we at? Let's do overlays. Let's take a look at the overlays. And I am interested in the very last one, which is the orange one. Yeah, the orange one is exactly what I was looking for. And let's take just a closer look. This. Okay, so these curves are starting to look very good to me. This is very close. I mean, in reality, it's this will give you a very specific kind of like sound. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save it in my presets, and I think you get the idea. Is that I just brought that up a little bit, and I'm gonna do C as a saved preset. Now, what I'd like to do here, okay, is take a look at this peak right here, okay? I want to snipe this peak right there at 427. I want to bring that down a smidge, okay? So 400 hertz, these speakers are handling most of the 400 hertz. Sure, there are some on this one, but these, my woofers are the ones that are handling that. They're designated to that. So let's go ahead, and what frequency was this? 431. 431. All right. Let's go ahead and put 431. Let's go ahead and put 431. And the Q, what is the Q? The Q, the smaller the number, the bigger the area you're going to be sniping. So if you got 0.2, 0.4, you're dropping like columns, like big wide buildings. You're dropping bombs, okay? And then when you go all the way up to, I think you can go to 10, okay? We're gonna go with 8 because we want to snipe it. We want to be very specific. And we're gonna go ahead and bring it down. Let's do by 6 dB and just see what happens, okay? If this is an acoustic situation, there's not much we could do about it, but let's see. What I mean by acoustic is the room modes and things like that, which I'll make a separate video on how to measure rooms when you're further away, how to do room acoustic measurements. That's actually my specialty in a way. But let's go ahead and measure. Okay, let's throw that one in. Okay, let's look at overlays real quick. And the ones that we are interested in, let's just do the, let's turn these off. Okay, we're just interested in these two. So as you could see, that frequency that was 432, something like that, no longer an issue. It is no longer an issue. It is, I brought it down 64 to 61, 3 dB, which is, it makes sense, because what you do in a DSP and what happens in acoustics in a real world is not the same thing. There's so many factors, but I just brought it down. So let's go ahead and go back to this measurement. Okie dokie. Let's do a little bit of smoothing, not really necessary. But now at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and get a measurement. But before I do that, I'm gonna save it as preset D, as in David. Preset D, okie dokie. Let's go ahead and get a measurement. Where's my measurements? There's my measurements. Let's go ahead and get a measurement going. And this will give me measurement, more official measurement in the middle right here. So let's go ahead and run that. This is a single point measurement. Okie dokie. Let's take a look at the very last measurement. Which one? It's the purple one. So let's go ahead and turn everything off. I forgot to do that. Keep everything on except the last one. Okay, so let's do some smoothing. Okay, so this is the frequency response of this here, these speakers right here. And if you go to psychoacoustics, this is what I'm gonna hear. This is what I'm gonna hear. And if I wanted to, I can snipe the 6K, which I will. I'll end up bringing this down just a snoosh, right there a little bit, because anywhere between 2 and 5K, if you've got peaks between 2 and 5K, you might as well pull hairs out of people's ears. So this one right here, it's very minor, but this is the graph, this is the slope, this is what I've been looking for. At this point, I listen to music. I want to check my bass. Let's go ahead and let's play some music. So here's the thing. I'm going to have a listening session for these speakers, the link in the description, and I'll be in that video, I'll be going preset A, preset B, preset C, using some tone control to really tune it in. But for now, I just want to show you, I'll record on this phone, what these speakers sound like after the tuning, because I'm actually excited to hear it myself. Hopefully it sounds good. Let's hit record here. Now you're going to be listening to this. I can't play any music that's like not licensed, so I'm going to use music that I did license and I can play. So I'm going to go ahead and play this song. So it's got a bit of an intro, so let's just... So let me just say, there's many other songs that I would like to play, but anyway, this is a good one too. honestly, I'm very happy with this tuning. However, at this point, you've got a great base, a great point to start, and I think you get what I'm doing. With this system, you can get to perfection. Let's listen. In the next video, we're going to have a listening session where I'm going to A/B things. Plus, I have new headphones, not headphones, new microphones. They're binaural microphones that I'm going to use, so you'll be able to hear what I hear. Check that out in the description. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and see you soon. Bye.